Dang it.
Dang it is the first word. Oh yeah. Uh, what does your name say? Oh, it's
Just
Brazilian.
very American.
Does CAO like that mean ano, like Kano or something like that, or
Kong. I
what?
mean, CAO.
Yeah, like what is or is that just America? Like does CAO
I
like replace like
I made it.
a suffix?
It's the augmentive. If you had like it's the ote or on, like
Oh, so that means like
yeah,
big, like a great big
yeah,
America.
like got a big cat is a gatão, a
Ah,
gato gatão,
I was thinking of saying Americano.
americão. No, I'm making
Americano.
it's a made up word I made up.
It's a good word. You're a great big America.
Exactly.
Mm,
And Jared's blue MAGA.
I am blue MAGA.
Is that sort of like a dark Brandon?
It's Cenk Uygur keeps using that phrase.
What is
Wow.
that?
Blue
What is it?
MAGA.
It's real?
It's well, okay. I don't know if you realize this, but the mainstream media has been gaslighting you.
What? Wait, what?
No, they
What?
seriously
I
have.
don't
They
even know
seriously
what.
have.
I don't even know
No,
what.
not even kidding. Not even kidding. I'm not kidding.
What? What don't I know?
Did you know that Biden's health has probably been deteriorating for longer than just yesterday?
What? His arms or his legs or something? Because like it's not his brain. Like he's
Like like
sharp
his
as a tack.
No. That's the crazy part. It's his brain.
no, I
Yeah, no, I'm not even kidding you. It's his brain, and it was from before this debate even. And
What?
the people who gaslit you are blue MAGA.
blue MAGA, huh?
Yep.
The
Has
ones who
anybody pulled up
gaslit
any
you?
clips of Has anybody pulled up any clips of the Young Turks, including Cenk Uygur, saying exactly the opposite? Because I'm guaranteeing they exist.
Oh, over time, I'm sure. But like I
Yeah.
did see him unload like last week.
Oh
Like
yeah,
saying,
for sure.
He's
Well, it just also goes
the
to show,
Young
just like
Turks were, to their credit, they were quicker to they were quicker to say, yeah, Biden is fucked in the head.
well, they
Because
are
Frank even
very,
ran for president, which is
they are,
hilarious.
they are win at any cost type thinkers.
Yeah, no, they absolutely are.
What is it? The 248th birthday? Is that where we're at for
of
America?
Biden?
No,
I
of
thought it was
America.
270, 280.
He
That's
doesn't
I
look
know.
a day over 250.
You know, it's funny because like, how old was Bob Dole? He was like 70, right? And I remember because all the jokes, in fact, because remember Norm
He wasn't
Macdonald had the
that
whole
old.
thing. How old was he when he ran? I think he was 70. And the
Bob
whole thing was that he was
Dole.
just way too damn old. And he was like a decade younger. But anyway, I'm popping some
73.
Oh wow.
actual
wow.
champagne for America
So
birthday today.
Biden's running. What is he? 81 right now?
Yeah.
What is he? Ziminy, zoo, zoo, zoo. Oh,
I
so
don't have champagne, but I have the champagne of beers.
I like that. They're not allowed to call it that in Europe.
Really?
why not?
Yeah. Because the French won't let you put the word champagne on anything that isn't champagne.
Drinking rules are retarded, but they're kind of fun too.
What? But so I don't even know this stuff. It really is called the champagne and beer. That
So yeah,
stuff, or is it?
It's
so
just their,
champagne.
you know.
Here's the thing: is so the word champagne is like now a protected designation of origin. But up until like the 70s, it was still the Wild West, and so there were products being called champagne in California made of wine, and Miller had been calling High Life the champagne of beers for a long time. So when they hammered out the deal, certain things got grandfathered in. So American products can say champagne, but they have to say California champagne or American champagne. Like the word champagne can't be alone, right? Like it's very specific. Yeah.
So retarded.
Yeah. And then same thing. Where it's like, 'cause, and Miller got to grandfather in their tagline "champagne of beers," but when they market it in Europe, they can't do that.
Yeah. all
I
right.
bet Chris drinks Moscow mules out of a glass.
Is that soy? Is that?
Oh my god, Chris. Oh my
Oh
god.
no, I don't know. I don't know enough about the alcohols. I just kidding. I play dumb. I play dumb like I play dumb with my parents. I'm a booze hound. I'm just kidding. even if I was a booze hound, I would have the dumbest taste in the world for booze. It would be something real stupid. Like if there were, like maybe I just haven't tried the dumbest alcohol yet, and I would love it. So just find me like the dumbest alcohol, and then maybe I got to try that, and that's what would like kick in for me.
Dumbest
trying to
alcohol is
think.
probably just vodka.
Well, then I do like that.
I mean, for me, it's the dumber. I don't know.
Bottom shelf tequila is pretty dumb.
The stuff that is basically like Pop-Tarts of alcohol. You know what I mean? Like,
But yeah, what's the Kraft macaroni and
Yeah,
cheese?
anything
yeah,
that-
yeah. No,
anything
that's what I
that's,
mean.
like,
It's like,
bright,
yeah.
anything that's bright blue while it's
Well,
in the
there's a
bottle.
lot. There's a lot of like spaghetti-o type drinks. You know, like there's a lot of like just juicy sweet. There's a lot of
Sangria.
fruit vodka.
No, yeah,
Well,
box.
well, no, because
sangria,
proper sangria. Oh, I guess box sangria is awful. Like real sangria is yummy. Real sangria is like making a salad out of wine and fruit.
We're not
Charles,
trying to look at
Charles
this.
is having a
nuance.
rum day. Is the 4th of July a rum day? What were you saying?
Ramen of alcohol.
The top
mean-
ramen of alcohol.
That was
You said that.
Forrest.
Mhm.
Rum.
That's what I
hey,
need.
There's some wonderful rum. I don't know what rum Forrest is on about. There's a lot of
I like
terrible.
It's Charles on
Charles.
on the rum.
Oh,
I like bamboo. That's pretty good rum. Captain
No, but
Morgan.
the top
Pri-
ramen of alcohol is what I'm talking about.
Captain
Sorry.
Morgan Private Stock's pretty good.
So the last 4 times I drank, I don't avoid alcohol because I'm some badass or a major super health guy, even though I am a health guy. But it's because the last 4 times I drank, I felt nothing, and then had all the hangover.
Yeah.
And then I go, well, why? Why do I do that? Like, what was that? You know?
No, that's why I drink carefully and I don't drink hard. Because like I'm not to where, yeah, but I don't get drunk anymore. At least it's really hard to do it and have fun, and I can't go very far. And I don't have a big desire to, frankly.
Yeah.
Like when I was younger, there was a lot of times like, let's go get fucked up, and we did it. Mission accomplished.
Like there's all sorts of stuff that like I could pretend that it's some sort of a what do they call that, the teetotaling or something like that.
You're straight
But-
edge.
Yeah, I'm straight edge or this. No, it's just because I suck. I don't work at it. Like I don't like, if I liked weed, I would smoke weed. I just don't like it. If I liked alcohol, I would let it do. Forrest had his first gut puke in a while. Swore off alcohol forever and had a beer today. That's the way to get back on.
What rum was it
4th of
though?
July.
Also, how you're drinking, because that's the other thing. Is like some things will sneak up on you. There are some drinks that absolutely sneak up on you. Like White Russians, those will sneak up on you. Caipirinhas sneak up on you. They're just like because they're almost all alcohol, but you can just gulp them like nothing.
Well, one of the
Drink
things
like dessert.
One of the things I did once is I went and bought each type of wine one time, and I said, I'm going to try all of these and see which one I like the best. And I noticed as the night went on, every one of them tasted better than the last one. And then I puked in the toilet bowl, and it was purple for a week. And I realized that I didn't do a very scientific thing there.
No, that's one thing. If you're trying to taste wine, you gotta spit it out. You
Yeah, I
really
didn't
have to.
spit it out. And my toilet really was purple for a week after that. And then I don't think I've drank wine since because I'm a dumbass. Yeah, I just don't. It doesn't work for me. Well, I mean, I guess I could figure out how to make it work. But anyway,
Steve got drunk on his mission. That's awesome.
Steve got
once on your mission, was that like
Oh,
an
yeah,
accidental
yeah.
thing where they gave you the booze and the?
Yeah. And somebody spiked the sacrament.
We had a spiked dessert once on my mission.
I don't know how you can. I don't know how you can really get a missionary drunk by spiking it, because if you haven't ever had alcohol, you can fucking taste it.
Yeah, no,
You're gonna be like, ugh, what is this? I guess you wouldn't know it's alcohol if it's spiked, and you'd be like, this is disgusting, but I gotta keep drinking it to be nice.
I
I
can
mean, if you
imagine
put
some
enough
stuff in some
sugar-
food that you just didn't know that wasn't some weird ass food, especially if you're in like some different country.
No, I get it. I get it actually. Because
Yeah, no, if you
I
put
would
enough sugar in it, you can cover alcohol up.
Well, I don't think you could cover. Like, I think when I first started drinking, I could taste the alcohol in everything. Like my friends that were more experienced, they'd be like, "You can't even taste it in this." I'm like, "Ugh, God!" But man, the amount of times I ate or drank something on my mission that was just repulsive, but I kept eating or drinking to be nice. I could have downed a fucking gallon of tequila.
That's funny. It's like most of the food on my mission was just mediocre. It was just regular Relief Society mom middle class stuff. I didn't have to complain. There's only a couple of times that I had like spectacularly hilariously bad meals.
I feel sorry for my dad because my dad would be a flip. Like he would totally geek out on all the tasties. He would be a coffee fiend. This guy drinks Postum. He's the guy. He's the one who buys it. Like nobody
my
else buys
mom.
that. He's the one who buys that.
Our parents probably know each other just because they bump into each other at the Smiths.
They
at the
fight
post.
each other for the one left on the. But he would be such a flavor geek of all the stuff. Like the thing is he knows he would be too. Like he's admitted.
My uncle
he knows it.
My uncle told me that, like, because he's been a good Mormon his entire life, but he said that the only thing that sounds really interesting to him is red wine.
Yeah.
He heard about red wine, and he said, "Yeah, if I could drink, I would drink red wine."
So I don't get booze with food. I do not get it at all.
Like pairing it, you mean?
Yeah. What's the fastest rule of thumb since we got the Flips Booze Corner up and going early today? And
Miller High Life pairs nice with a nice McDouble.
Jared's giving us the Idaho flavorings.
Yeah.
So it's about, you mean like wine pairings? I don't know, because like I do think when you get into all the I don't know what to call it, the arcane dorkiness of it, like, oh, it's also subjective. There are some general things, and like the basic ideas, you pair weight with weight. You know, light food, light wine. You know, so like pork chop, Pinot Noir.
Does light mean white and delightsome? Is that like is
yes
wine
and no.
as racist as the Book of Mormon?
Yeah, no, because there's color and then there's depth, and then also there's lightness in terms of like tannins, for example. Like, you know, within red wines, like especially like say, okay, I want a red wine to pair with meat because like some kind of mammal, you generally do red wine. If it's like pork, that's, you know, the white meat, or chicken, Pinot Noir, because it's a lighter, lower tannin, lighter red wine. But then like the classic like American barbecue, like grilled meats, you know, barbecue grilled meats, big steak, really big tannic wines like Amarones or Zinfandels.
Wait,
that's what
there's people barbecuing and they're choosing wine instead of beer out there. I thought barbecue only went with the beer.
It's not a lot. It's, you know, July 4th is not a big wine holiday, but when people are buying wine and they're going to a grill, like classic thing is Zinfandel. And then another thing that like really works is like spicy fatty with Riesling is a really magical combination. Like that's one combination I really think works, is like, you know, like Thai curry or, you know, Indian cream or coconut based curries, and then just delicious German Riesling. That's really, really good. You know, but other than that, like really like good wine, good food, you're fine. Like sometimes you might meet something that's just like a weird clash or something that's like weirdly good. But, you know, this is one of those things like, you know, like I'm sure that the bullshit could do 10,000 experiments where they, you know, fuck with people and get people to get all kinds of weird perceptions. Like the fact is, if you like the wine, you like the food, then you're having a good meal.
I feel like a lot of alcohol culture is a lot like modern art, you know? Like, remember that guy went into an art gallery and just put his sunglasses in the corner?
Yeah.
And everybody's trying to interpret it. Like, he just set it down. He wasn't even an artist. He was just a guy that came in off the street. And he's like, these people are retarded. No, he did it on purpose. He's like, these people are retarded, and they'll think this means something. And he puts it, and just people like what is this? What could the artist have meant by this? I know the interpretation. You know, shit like that. I feel like there's one person who gets things, and then a bunch of other people who want to get things. And when the person that gets things says a thing, the other people are like, yes, I also noticed that.
Yeah. I mean, part of it is just suggestibility. Like I remember even long before I was even into wine and I was just an observer. I used to hang out with my ex-girlfriend, worked at now a James Beard nominated restaurant. It wasn't back then, but deserved one. And let's talk about women. She'd always call me at like 9:30. I'll be like, I'll be off in 15 minutes. And then I'd just be hanging around behind the fucking kitchen until 1 a.m. But I would watch them back there, and they would do their wine tastings, like the crew, the wait staff and whatnot. And they'd always pull out a red wine, and they'd pour it out, and then sip, sip, sip. And one was like, yeah, plum, I'm getting plum, and one plum. And one day, one of the women said, like, we always say plum. Why do we always say plum? And it's like, and she fucking cottoned on to there's something going on here where there's a feedback loop going on.
Check this out. The entire Psalm movie is on YouTube.
See, and this is the thing about this Psalm stuff, because everybody's like, well, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? I'll tell you how I know they can't do what it looks like they're doing. You know how I know they can't do it? Because if they could do it, they would tell us. Because the people running these tests know. They know the results. It's just they don't reveal the results. And if people were doing this with accuracy that above average, whatever you'd expect, that like they could actually demonstrate a real proficiency, they would be bragging about it. I think the fact is that as much skill as somebody might have in this, anybody is easily fooled. And also, you just look up Rudy Kurniawan. What's his name? There's an Indonesian guy who went to prison for selling tens of millions of dollars of fake wine to all the biggest wine snobs in the world. And he was literally mixing it together in a mansion in Hollywood.
He shouldn't go to prison. He should get a fucking medal. That's awesome.
That was the defense's argument is like, hey, if a 1946 Petrus whatever, that's an experience. And this guy creates that experience, right?
Yeah, that's a pretty good defense. My defense would have been more along the lines of like, if you, it feels like if an energy healer comes into an energy healing conference and like they find out that he doesn't, like he's doing fake energy healing, and they try to prosecute him for that, it'd be like, well, none of it's fucking real, so. He created the same thing you did. He put his hands on you and did a fake thing. I don't know. I guess I just like it.
Wine number 2 is a white wine. The one is clear. Viscosity is medium plus. Medium plus. I call viscosity high on this one as well. The nose of the wine is clean. Clean, youthful. First thing that's coming out here is some peachy apricot notes. Canned peaches. A little bit of peach, slightly oxidized white peach. Doesn't appear to be any new oak on the wine. No signs of oak. Light hint of oak. Well, this wine is dry. The wine is dry. The acid is medium minus. Medium minus. Medium. Alcohol is high. High. This is Viognier from France, from Rhone Valley, Northern Rhone. This is Condru. I think this wine is from France. This wine is from the Rhone Valley. This wine.
In case anybody wants to know, this is what Flip looks like when he drinks liquor. He brought like 8 types of liquor, and he did this.
They were spirits, though. It wasn't wine.
These are these guys getting it like kind of different. Some of them are getting the same. I don't even know what the answer is.
Yeah, well, like for those, I also had. I had a buddy who was a brewer for a long time, and he ended up being judging, like, when they say gold medal winner, blah blah blah. He was judge on some of these things, and talking to him, it was the same thing where he's like, there's a couple of things that really sprang to him is that number one is that he would review the reports afterward from all the different judges, and he would see judges rating the same beer, and like, and the category was American wheated fruit beer, and somebody says can't taste the fruit, and the next judge says too much fruit, and he just noticed this stuff, and you're like, well, what's going on there? That's kind of weird. How do these people come to the dead opposite when we're supposed to be like the world experts on this? And then the other thing is just like, it's like the category is American IPA. And you've tasted 18 of them, and you're supposed to pick one, and he says, like, you get to the point where you're just like, I like this one, and then that one gets a gold, and that company makes an extra $1 million that year if they market well or whatever, and there is a lot of, I think, just kind of Lady of the Lake stuff. Like, booze is so weird like that. Like, a few years ago when those, White Claw, like White Claw popped up a few years ago and just utterly took the industry by storm and baffled everybody. And it had like 4,000% growth in the first year, all just completely bonkers. And everybody in the industry was just looking at each other going like, well, I guess this is the thing now. I guess it was like the music industry when guitars came along, like, oh, okay. Like it's the same kind of thing. Like nobody can predict that shit.
But why? What is White Claw anyway?
It's
It's a
shitty.
girl beer.
I don't think I've ever
No.
had one. Yeah, it's girl beer.
beer?
I've never had one. No, it's alcohol seltzer.
Yeah, it's just seltzer water, and it tastes like seltzer water. You know,
it's low calorie. Yeah, low calorie light. I think I'm not sure
it's
if I've ever
it's
had one.
everything. It's everything that your average American woman would want in a beer. Like it.
It's sparkling crystal light.
Yeah, I know. It's not. It tastes fine. I don't
Yeah.
ever drink it because I'm not gay. Forrest.
Risto said.
Oh man, look, Forrest says it's amazing. Oh man,
No, he's right.
We're learning a lot about Forrest.
He's right that it's a drink that doesn't taste like shit. Like he's totally.
What kind of rum? What did you drink that you vomited? What were you drinking, and how much of it, and how fast?
I feel like if I were
Risto
doing
says to not smell before drinking.
I feel like if I were doing an IPA,
Yeah, smell is
test,
everything.
I would judge it on like what quality of hotel I think the hand soap that it tastes like came from. I'd be like, oh, this is like Caesar's Palace level hand soap.
You've got to.
Oh. Sorry, Morgan's not here. They keep reminding me that it's fireworks night, so I will cut out early. But give me a minute.
No problem. So there was a major master sommelier exam cheating scandal where 24 candidates who passed got booted eternally. Because they
never even heard about
this. Yeah, they cheated on the final exam.
Yeah.
I think the only way they caught it too is because like so many of them got it all right, so they knew somebody was lying or got like the test out or something like that. So
Well, the other thing is just because again, like I mean, you know, if you watch enough James Randi and Penn and Teller stuff, they talk about just how easy it is, even like when you're not even trying to game these things. Like, you know, when I took my wine course, you know, this was just practice, you know, it wasn't part of any certification or anything. But, you know, before one of the classes, just to practice, he gave us a brown bag wine and he had us all evaluate it. And everybody gave their guess. And I gave my guess and I said Gruner Veltliner. And he said, oh, that's right. That's it. And everybody was like, hey, applauding. And I said, hang on a second. I caught a flash of the cap and I saw the flag of Austria. And so, and I know all the wines in Utah and I know what their caps look like. And so I know that there's only a couple of things that could have been. And so it wasn't hard for me to figure, you know, like, and that's the thing, like, yeah, that's one of those things with these Psalm things where like, it looks so amazing where it's like, well, yeah, but you know what? They were probably in the building and they've probably seen what's in the cellar. They probably saw what people, they know kind of what's on the potential list, you know? So it's like, it makes it seem all crazy. Like, oh, they're picking this out of 10,000 possible wines. Like, no, realistically, they know like what's around in the building. You know what I mean? I don't know.
this is why Flip can't get ahead in the world because he won't lie for the Lord.
It's true.
See, when I was on my mission, I was doing a magic trick for one of my companions, and I had a quarter, which was weird in Mexico because you should have had pesos, right? So I had a quarter, like it was a coin that we weren't really running around with, and I was doing this trick, and I completely screwed it up, and shot it out of my hand, and it hit his shirt and went in his pocket, and he didn't notice. And I told him, check. He grabbed the pocket. He freaked out. And this is what the problem with Flip is he would have just told him at that point.
Yeah.
This guy still doesn't know unless he listens to this tonight.
He thought you did real magic.
He thought I did a real thing, and I won't tell him how I did that.
No, but that's things like, I mean, I saw Penn and Teller once 20 years ago. And one of the things about Penn and Teller, like they tell you how to do all of their tricks with the exception of one. They don't say, this is funny, like the only trick Penn won't tell you how they do is the bullet catch, which is the one they've patented. But Penn will tell you that anybody can, for a fee, file a request at a patent office, and they will mail you the patent that tells you exactly how it's done.
Yeah.
I've thought about doing it, but I like having mystery in my life. Like it's something I've mulled over a few times. Ever since I saw that trick, I'm like, how the fuck did they do that?
Well, they have a couple tricks where the whole thing in the show is to show how they did the trick after they did it.
No, that's what I'm saying. When I saw their show, that
mostly.
the only trick they don't show how it's done is the bullet catch. But everything else, in one way or another, they reveal. And that's part of the show.
Well, those
It's like
ones where Penn's like crawling around under the stage and all that stuff.
the tail. That's Teller. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more interesting to see him do all of his
No, that yeah, exactly. Like,
crawling than it
so
is.
I saw it 20 years ago, and that's the first trick. Is this thing where Teller appears to just be popping up and all over the stage magically, and then and it's because there's this big contraption on the stage, and what they do is they wheel out a duplicate of the contraption, but it's all plexiglass, so you can see inside, and then you can see it's a system of tunnels and ladders, which is like, well, that's not cool. But what's cool is that Teller, who was at that time a 65-year-old man or something, I don't know, he's an old guy, who is in incredible shape. And because what he did is this is like Olympic level athlete stuff and coordination, figure skating stuff where he's got to get all of this stuff right, and there's a lot of athleticism, and his timing has to be all exactly right. And you see that, and you're like, oh my god, that really is the trick. Like I said, the tricks, the reveals that they do are always amazing. It's the first trick they do is you walk into the theater, and it's dark, and people are milling around, and they're talking, and they're whatever, and there's a jazz band in the corner playing light jazz, and there's somebody playing an upright bass and a guy playing marimba and a guy on the piano, and it's like nightclub jazz music and stuff. And as I'm sitting there and my eyes are adjusting to the dark, I'm looking in the corner and I realize Penn is playing bass and Teller is playing marimba. They're their own jazz band. And that's their first trick, Then the very last trick they do is they're on stage, they ta-da, everybody clapping, curtain comes down, you go outside, and they're already outside ready to greet everybody, shake hands, sign autographs. Yeah, just everything they do is here's the trick and here's the reveal. Yeah. They were awesome. I was hoping to see them again this year, but I don't think it'll happen.
Well, I have a question for you guys.
Are you about to trick us into being autistic again?
Yes.
Because you betrayed us that time, and I was...
All the autistic tricks this week were just done to that basketball player to get him to the Utah Jazz.
Jesus.
Let's see here. I'm just wondering if you guys are able to dream about a future
and be unburdened by what.
Oh God.
What can be unburdened by what has been.
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 Can you guys imagine what can be unburdened by what has been?
Look at my face! Oh my God, I love it!
Michael Malice is such a dick.
What can be unburdened by what has been. That's such Deepak Chopra weirdness.
I know, that's the exact name I was thinking of.
I'm trying to give it okay.
I like it. No, I guess it's the idea of look forward and don't burden the future with the bullshit that happened in the past.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wanna give her some grace here, but she says it so fucking much, and that feels like if I asked AI to write something that might be kind of a reasonable piece of advice, but in the most gay way possible.
Well, I wasn't really going for gay.
ChatGPT. I feel like it's a phrase that both the polygamy deniers and the non-polygamy people in the Mormon church could use, to present their stuff. If we could imagine what could be unburdened by what has been.
You know what? On that subject of the future today, because I'm taking a short trip to San Francisco in August, and I'm renting a car to drive around in California, and I decided, and it cost me $100 more than the Earth-destroying version, but I'm renting a Tesla.
Really?
All about. Well, here's the thing. It says Tesla or similar, and I don't know what's similar to a Tesla other than another Tesla. But because you know how rental companies are, where it's rent a Kia or similar. Rent that they always say that. I don't. At least it does when I rent a car through Expedia. But I was thinking about it because a lot of people said it's easy to get the charging and stuff there. And so I figured, what the fuck? I'm gonna find out
Yeah,
how
give
much
it a
fun
shot,
this
I
is.
guess. Are you
Yeah.
renting the cyber truck?
No, no. It's the cheapest one. It's the S. That's the base model, right?
I don't know. I
But yeah,
know
so like
I'll-
You're not going to do the truck.
if there's a giant cloud of smog over San Francisco, that's just me driving my Tesla.
Smug.
I'm- Some people are doing something about it.
I don't think that you could meaningfully contribute to this smug over San Francisco.
I will in my Tesla. I'm gonna listen to free range, organic, indigenous music.
All things considered.
I'll go let a male prostitute blow me. It's a service to humanity.
Everyone needs to explore their sexuality.
Have you heard that stuff of that Dr. Manhattan guy? I guess he was on Twitter. He's kind of a Mormon dude on Twitter. He was just on Word Radio. But I guess he's kind of like a rich Salt Lake dude who lives up in the avenues and drives around a great big Tesla truck. So everybody knows that it's him. So he keeps getting in fights or other stuff with people because his Tesla driving is so famous. Yeah, and he's gotten in like some sort of like internet squabbles because of it.
Yeah, I've had a couple back and forth with him on Twitter a little bit, but I don't know much about him.
What were your back and forth?
Oh, I can't remember.
Too long ago.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Wait, on the subject of back and forth, why did Cultural Hall publicly apologize to you and Forrest?
Oh, because yesterday on Mormonism Live, we were just going at each other pretty hard.
Yeah, well, he was being a dickhead, I'm assuming. I'm guessing
Well,
you were being
no more than we were.
inaccurate.
Yeah, we were being dickheads. He was, I don't know, we were just going after him for kind of a, yeah, Forrest, he apologized on Twitter. He said he copied me on it. He said he didn't have a way to copy you. And he said, I'm sorry that I came at you guys so hard. And I let him off the hook. I have before. I said, if he can take as good as he gives, whatever,
You let him off too easy. He's so chronically unfunny that I can't.
Well, for the funny stuff, but
although
if he can roll with the punches, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can be a dick if you can roll with the punches. Yeah. Although he did a long video on Jacob this week, and so did the Mormon discussions guys. And so on the video, which I almost hardly remember much of what that Colby Radish dude was talking about on like why supposedly Jacob's reasoning was wrong. It was really strange to me because I guess Jacob's reasoning was wrong, but he was right because the whole example they were looking at was the polygamy thing. And Jacob was debating on the side that Joseph was a polygamist, but I guess he was using bad reasoning. I got so caught up in the comments section of BS, and
I don't know. I would have to rewatch that debate to know if Jacob Hansen used bad reasoning in that, because I didn't really pay much attention to him because I was just blown away by. I'm always blown away by the polygamy denier side.
There's always a good chance that Jacob used bad reasoning.
No, I mean he could have. I don't know, but like the other guy is doing the same, like all the Michelle Brady Stone things, where he says, well, Joseph didn't practice polygamy, and one of the best evidences we have is that he said he didn't. And are you calling him a liar? And I was like, well, yeah.
Wait, do we have
of course
talking about Jacob just because I'm thinking about it, because I know here it is. I'm gonna resend it in the thing to share. But because you know how ages ago I talking to Jacob, and Jacob's like, faith isn't belief without seeing. And I happened to be in a Mormon ward house for a funeral this week, and I walked into the gospel doctrine class and took a picture of the goddamn chalkboard. There, I just sent it into the chat. But it's just funny because, like, just the way that Jacob does that gaslighting bullshit. Like, Mormons don't teach that faith is seeing without or believing without seeing, and here you'll see it.
I mean. I guess as far as so Risto's talking about how Joseph probably
did that go through?
Practice polygamy, but I will say if you want to get me on a polygamy denier shtick, I would say
Hold-
Joseph
hold on.
didn't really practice polygamy.
First off,
I think he just banged a bunch of women and then post hoc said they were my wives.
first off, I need you to know that you're doing a slur. Listen.
Which I appreciate Cheryl being so conscientious to not use the term polygamy deniers that is used as a pejorative. So thank you for coming up with a better.
How is she always crying? So I listened to her for the first time ever this week.
The word is,
And-
here it is. Hold on.
Sorry,
and PowerPoint. And for some reason, StreamYard and PowerPoint aren't playing nicely together. So it does say monogamy supporters, which I
Use monogamy supporter, dickhead. Okay.
You know what's funny? Like, I want to just as an experiment, because what if it's like that? What's that lady's name? There was that lady who was the talking head, the talking voice on the NPR for that had the Diane. What was her name? But the lady who was only 40, but she sounded 80
Diane
because she
Sawyer.
had it. No,
Ream,
yeah, whatever.
Diane Ream.
Yeah, Diane Ream. Yeah, what if Michelle, what's her name? She's just got it's actually a psychological thing. Yeah, like she could be Hitler, and she would still just say the same thing.
She's
about
got
how
whatever-
we need breathing room for the people of Germany, and
She's got the female version of whatever the fuck is wrong with RFK.
Yeah. Or it's also maybe that she's just using like general conference voice, which also sounds like you're always on the verge of crying.
she is way up there though.
Nah,
Like
she's more than general conference.
like if there was an effect pedal for Relief Society, she's dimed.
It's like a wah wah pedal, a Michelle
Yeah.
Stone pedal.
It's the actual wah wah. It's a wah wah. It's not a wah wah. Jimi Hendrix used a wah wah. This is a
it's
wah
a
wah.
fucking pitch modder.
Yeah.
Because there is that cadence. There is that cadence when you know that the Relief Society lady is getting very close to sobbing openly, and that's just her all the time. Most Relief Society ladies will kind of ease into it and then get there and wobble, cry. She's just always at that wobble level, and oftentimes she'll cry. Sometimes she just wobbles.
Yeah.
So I get the whole don't call us polygamy deniers thing, because the whole I don't like calling people deniers of certain things, because I've been called I've been called a COVID denier, right? For saying things like we shouldn't force people to, get the jab or whatever we're supposed to call it to not get blocked on YouTube. Or a climate change denier for saying, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't force everybody to have electric cars and shit like that. So I get that the whole denier thing is overused, but I really don't know what else to call you. I can't, because monogamy supporter is stupid, because that sort of implies that the people who are against you are against monogamy, and they're not. They're just saying, no, this guy banged a bunch of women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
did Culture
denying
release
polygamy
another
is
video on Jacob today, or maybe it's just a smaller video. Anyway, go ahead.
I'm just gonna say at this level, it's like Holocaust denier. It's like what? No, Joseph Smith, we know this. You can. I'm trying to think of the Norm Macdonald jokes about the shadows, the lakes of the shadows of smokestacks. You can do with that all you want. We know there was a Holocaust. We know that Joseph practiced polygamy. I mean, to be kind, he practiced polygamy. I think he banged a lot of chicks.
Yeah, I know. He's a womanizer. I feel like that Jacob, what's the Jacob 5? I think that is a really we hate polygamy scripture. And I think he must have written that before he was banging the maid in the barn.
Because just a second, you said Jacob 5, and my mind went to Logan's Run, because Logan 5.
Oh,
because they all have the numbers. This is how far out of Mormonism I am. I forgot what Jacob 5 was.
I think it's a polygamy one, and it is very, how do you say, condemnatory towards.
Yeah, and that's one of those
and Michelle Stone uses it all the time to be like, "See, this is so condemnatory of polygamy. There's no way Joseph would do a thing that he condemned doing." It's like,
well, yeah, but
The guy whining about Jacob's bullying was, I guess, Colby Radish. He's just some lawyer or something. I guess he worked with some people at BYU and stuff. And I don't know that I minded that much his whole dissection. I just don't like that concept of like, I'm justifying this because he's a bully. And
I know
think,
he said that right away. He's like, first and foremost, he's a bully. And I'm like, oh, don't be a pussy.
Just do it. Just do it, man. You don't need to say that you're being some freedom fighter against bullies. Like, all of you are defending your own worldviews. And he says that he wants the Julia Hanks world to win and the Dan McClellan world to win. And this guy goes after Dan McClellan. Like, how could you go after Dan McClellan? But you want to hear some of the tones that Michelle Stone was able to hit? I
don't.
You don't?
But do it anyway.
Okay, here comes the first one. So that was a speech that she gave at a conference.
Are you freaking kidding me?
This one's just a little bit more.
And this is what we still have. I am so thankful to be among those called to try to undo what has been done, to try to redeem.
There was. That was almost the unburdened by what?
She's doing it with the Trump things.
Oh yeah, the Trump fingers. That's Where did people learn that one?
So these people who did so much for us.
What's that?
Like, how long until she starts a break off?
Now.
Never was jealous and weak, and Emma was amazing. And if anyone wants to say otherwise, they better come through me.
Nobody who's shitting on Emma other than like Brigham Young.
Yeah. Like who's out there? Yeah.
Even the mainstream Mormon church holds her in very high regard.
Yeah. Well.
Don't say play me down. Like, she's like, one of her other favorite things to bring up are letters, like love letters from Joseph to Emma. A man that says this would not hurt his wife. Like, well, maybe he would. What are you talking about? Like, you think just because he said nice things to his wife in June, he could not do a mean thing to his wife in November? I don't know. Like, it feels pretty like he wouldn't do that thing.
Yeah. Well,
my prophet wouldn't do something like that.
Did you know that talking about tapers is also like a hateful anti-Mormon trope?
Yeah, I want to see that one because that would be a new low for Cardin's wokeness.
That's not. I don't think Cardin said it. Maybe he did somewhere. Cardin was going off on the tropes. Oh, this week because he was talking about the BYU, not the BYU, the Utah Jazz giant guy who's getting wheeled around by one of those basically like a kind of rape teachers. Have you ever like so Rollo Tomasi did an extended video on all the different rape teachers out there. Like, every single one of them are like a little bit cute. Like every single one. You're like, what? How does this happen, man? I'll find that video. Don't you don't want to look at Rollo Tomasi too long because John Larson said that he's been studying the red pill.
Mm-hmm.
And if John Larson's been studying it and it's bad, you do not want to mess with that shit.
Speaking of disturbing trends, have you noticed how many like videos where it's like a married couple where the guy transitions into a woman and they have like a timeline of the transition and you just watch as he slowly starts to look exactly like his wife,
but 6 inches taller?
Yeah, 6 inches taller with a jawline and an Adam's apple and obviously a male. You know, like he doesn't look like, but he just, it's clear that he's trying to emulate her specifically.
Yeah, that's weird.
Let me
had one of those at least.
If you want to see it, here is the video, 3 hours and like 40 minutes of all these different rate teachers. There's a lot of different rate teachers out there. I guess that will come in handy later. Look at like every single one of them's kind of cute. You know what I mean?
I know, that's
Like every single one. Like look at that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
Look
even
at this.
like,
Look at this one. Like all of them.
What the hell?
insane.
Yeah.
But less than
Anyway, we'll get to that later. Let's see. We were who were we looking at? We were gonna look at Tabors. Little Tabors. We'll use Culture Hall's video on this one. But the guy, I was telling you guys before, like I try to be like a defender of all the Mormon guys, like having their Mormonism and that sort of deal, right? But this guy, you remember the South Park episode where Kyle's cousin is so Jewy that he just can't, like he's like, don't be so Jewy, like please just don't be so Jewy. This guy,
you paid somebody to hang out with me. I paid him $40. I mean, you didn't even try to talk him down. I mean, you got to go somewhere with these things. You got to go low.
this nerdy Mormon dude is like, oh, dude, like I can't help you, dude. I can't.
Several references to tapirs, which is a symbol of anti-Mormonism on the internet.
The way that voice is has to be a joke, man. Like, oh my gosh.
Damn.
Welcome
That's
back
like
into
what
another
if all
episode
pissed on steroids.
of Cultural Hall. This episode is a direct result of information I got from Rebecca Biblioteca from the Mormonish podcast. I was listening to Mormonish and she made a comment about someone saying that tapers are hate speech. And I was like, what in the world is she talking about? But apparently, the Salt Lake Tribune does a podcast called Mormonland. Mormonland is a weekly podcast run by the Salt Lake Tribune, and it's hosted by Peggy Fletcher Stack and David Noyce. On this last week's episode of Mormonland, they had some folks from Public Square magazine on.
What's that?
We said noise.
Noise.
Public Square is the one that Dan Ellsworth that works with, right? And Nuance Ho once worked there.
They interviewed C.D. Cunningham, the managing
Like, look at his face. Even like, I swear he's got to be like
Oh.
an AI, like some ex-Mormon made AI version of this guy. This guy doesn't exist. This is AI, fake Mormon.
Dude, if I was casting Book
I-
of Mormon, that's my lead.
I feel like I can't. He looks like the kind of guy that I feel like a dick for making fun of.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Both feel like a dick, and I never bullied any kids in my life. I can say that. Like I never got the thing where some like weakling kid or whatever, I just went up and gave him a noogie or any sort of thing like that and defended a bunch of them and all that sort of deal. I can say I have that. But whatever that happens in like the gene pool, like some of the genes, like this guy like sparks at me like I want to give the wedgie, like I feel it, like I have to fight my hands from giving him a wedgie. Like no, I got a wedgie.
It's
editor
also
of Public
funny
Square
because it's like
magazine and associate
now
editor.
they're realizing that woke stuff is stupid, right? Like you get
Yeah.
cult. This is basically Culture making fun of woke stuff because calling tapers hate speech. It's fucking hilarious because honestly, like the whole taper thing, that's one of the funniest fucking things to happen in the Mormon world ever. Like, and I don't even think it was like a legitimate theory or anything. I think it was just sort of Dan Peterson like going off the cuff or whatever and just saying, I don't know, they could be referring to like tapers or something.
Yeah.
But it's fucking hilarious because those things, you can't ride those things into battle. It's even funnier once you find out. I'm pretty sure they're nocturnal.
Well, his initial thing was like kind of like comparing it to like hippopotamus, I guess means river horse or something like that. And maybe taper meant horse to them or something. But then it doesn't square with what they said the horses were doing.
I know they're like pulling chariots and shit like that.
Yeah.
So it's one of the funniest things ever. I think that the Mormon apologists, they gotta just take the L on this one, man, and stop. Just don't talk about it.
The thing other people are doing is they're waiting and trying to see and think that like it's turning out that maybe some horses were around before then type deal stuff. But
They do that a lot.
Brianna
And one of their biggest things is to say, we're finding new things every day. And, you know, before we found horses that lived here 40,000 years ago. So that's a new thing. So maybe we'll find horses that lived here during the Book of Mormon time. Like, well, maybe.
Holmes. The title of this episode of Mormonland is The Case for a Group Dedicated to Protecting Latter-day Saints Civil Rights. And if you guys read right here, this gives a synopsis of what the episode is about. But in a nutshell,
wait. It says the anti-def. It's doing all like the tropes like Cardin talked about, which he did talk about again this week. I mean, I guess we could pull him up because he's saying you're doing all these tropes of these things that you wouldn't say about Jews. And I was telling you guys about this, but I'm repeating it here. There was stuff that John DeLynn, like I can't stand when Cardin like does that sort of stuff, but there was some stuff that John DeLynn said about the Mormons this week that I doubt he would dare say about the Jews. But the problem is that he should just say it about the Jews too. Not that he shouldn't say it. He was he was saying the Mormons are overrepresented for their population in Hollywood and in politics and in
Hollywood. Hollywood is a hilarious example to go to because how does your mind not immediately jump to Jews?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the funniest stereotype. Mormons are overrepresented in Hollywood, and I mean I can't think of anyone else who is.
But it's just like our truth that like for the population they got a bunch in there, but you should be able to just say that about Jews too. And would John DeLynn say that about Jews? Now that's the opposite of what Cardin's saying. Cardin's saying don't say it because you can't say that about Jews. And my thought is like both. Yes, they wouldn't dare say that about Jews, but secondly, you should just be able to say that about Jews.
Well, and it's also not a condemnation of Jews. That's the problem. Is we've decided that if you say that like there's a lot of Jews in Hollywood, that means that you're shitting on the Jews, but you're not.
What was
that? Indian Americans are overrepresented in certain types of doctors. And I'm not shitting on Indian Americans because I said that. I'm just
like isn't it there's some weird thing where like 80% of ice cream shops in California are run by Cambodians. It's like
I don't know how you know that. That's awesome.
It's something I think it might have been a Thomas Sowell quote thing. But you know, it's like the Chinese laundry and the Korean bodega and the Vietnamese nail salon. Like you kind of get these like it's not that crazy to see how like, you know, it gets started in a community, they're in a community, they're all interconnected. Like they grow the business inside the community. It's not that crazy to figure out. But yeah. I don't know.
I even remember my parents getting weird about some shit like that growing up because there's a lot of Mexicans that live in Idaho Falls, right? And I remember at one point like describing somebody like, oh, the Mexican guy over there, and like my parents kind of like almost corrected me. We say Hispanic, and I was like, but he's Mexican.
Yeah.
He's from Mexico. It's not that's not an insulting thing to say.
That is changing now, and it can offend people because I'll tell you what,
it can offend people if you get it wrong.
Are everywhere now, and Venezuelans and Mexicans do not like each other. I can tell you that.
No, I've had this conversation before because Morgan has an uncle who is from Honduras, and he gets so pissed off if somebody thinks he is Mexican. And I'm like, well, maybe it's a little clumsy to think just because this dude is brown, he's Mexican. Yeah. But A, there's nothing wrong with being Mexican.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with you.
B, like you're in Utah. Most of the people who look and sound like you are from Mexico originally, so. It's a safe assumption. It's like when I was in southern Brazil and they kept asking me if I was German. Well, I'm very white and I have lighter hair than most of the people there. And most of those people in southern Brazil are German. So I'm not. Why would you assume that I'm German? Well, because it happens a lot.
Risto asked if he burritos, but burritos is Californian, man. California, man. Which they all said was the second biggest city in Mexico. Let me see here. Do you remember this?
Well, earlier this week, actor Marlon Brando met with Jewish leaders to apologize for comments he made on Larry King Live. Among them, that quote, Hollywood is run by Jews. The Jewish leaders accepted the actor's apology and announced that Brando is now free to work again.
Can't say it though. And then the South Park did that whole episode about like the woke. they go to Kyle's parents who are Jews and start saying like, "Okay, we get it. You can stop with the woke stuff in Hollywood." And then his parents like, "Why are you telling us this?" Like, yeah, you know them, you know the guys, you know this. Like, we get it. We get the woke stuff. Stop it. Oh man,
Stereotyping Jewish people is terrible.
Terrible.
Anyway, back to tapirs. But oh, look at this. They start this out for 115 years. The NAACP, the nation's oldest civil rights organization, has been advancing the cause of justice for Black Americans for 111 years. The Anti-Defamation League has been doing much of the same for Jewish Americans, and for 104 years, the American Civil Liberties Union has been safeguarding the constitutional rights of everyone in the United States. So, which group is protecting, advocating, and advancing the rights of Latter-day Saints? Well, come on.
So is this a point where Mormons just go, I guess we're going to be pussies too?
Yeah.
You guys read
the answer, I once made the front page of Reddit making a pho cartoon, which is kind of a apropos today because our faces were pho faces made by one of the Rage cartoons made by Jonathan for the presidents. But I made one of those cartoons once and got to the front page of Reddit, and the whole cartoon was about my girlfriend or my wife. It was my wife complaining about a thing I did for enjoyment. And then I said, this is like the thing that you do for enjoyment. And then she answers, fine, I'll stop doing the thing that I do for enjoyment. No, the answer is the opposite of that.
I don't.
And
I'm actually happy when you're happy.
Defamation leagues. Like the answer is like I get like Mormons. Yes, I'm 100% on board that you guys can get discriminated against. It can happen, and things are pointing that direction or whatever. But the answer isn't to become the anti-defamation league or justice for like Black Americans, like stuff where they just become professional grievance finders. You know.
Right here, this gives a synopsis of what the episode is about. But in a nutshell, CD's Nuts and Brianna Holmes are coming on to talk about starting a group that would defend Latter-day Saints' civil rights. But the craziest thing about this episode is that when CD's Nuts is asked, why do Latter-day Saints need a group like this to protect their civil rights? The example he brings up, tapers. He brings up that ex-Mormons use tapers. He calls them a dog whistle. He essentially says that tapers are a form of hate speech. And that is absolutely ridiculous. Man. But let's jump into this and see what this guy has to say.
I think one space.
Are tapers like a pig? Like what is that?
It's, you ever watch Ice Age? They look like a cross between an elephant and a pig.
But what family are they in?
I want to say pig. They look very pig, but
they are odd-toed ungulates alongside equines like horses and rhinoceroses.
So they are a horse.
It is a horse.
We were bigots.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, fuck! I gotta go to church on Sunday.
I also gotta say that I'll give Coach this. CD's Nuts is a much better nickname than Thoughtless Taint. Just don't overuse it. I know you will, but
CD's Nuts.
That guy is like the guy on the screen is like CD something. His last name. He uses his first two initials, and so Coach called him CD's Nuts, which is pretty good actually.
See, we're giving some ground here. We're giving some ground.
Is it as good as Thoughtless Taint?
That's what I was saying.
Is so that's what we actually got into it on the thing. You're asking
lifetime achievement award for Thoughtless Taint.
I was just trying to explain to him that it isn't funny, and then he's like,
"Yeah, you're really low grade." It's
not only is it not funny, but he keeps bragging that he came up.
I know he pops up in every live chat of everything, be like, I don't know if you knew this, but I called him Thoughtless Taint.
Yeah,
I was the first one to say taint.
And that's kind of where first we got into it with me saying like, shut up with like the bully freedom fighting stuff. Like everybody's just arguing for their worldview. Just start there. Let's cut that shit.
And then, if it makes me laugh, if the word taint makes me laugh, it's only because of that wonderful Squidbillies episode where Dan Halen gets taint cancer.
Yeah.
That's right.
that a group like.
But yeah, anyway, that's kind of where we got into it, and then we were just going back and forth with each other. I think he felt bad because he said he said I was a douche, something else. I can't remember. Then he also accused me of being on the steroids. So
like this could fill was it in 2019? I think that there was the whistleblower.
But once again, like if you're ultimately not a crybaby in the sense of you can take as good as you can give, I do give passes. Like you can be a dickhead if you can like roll with the punches and laugh when you get, and I think he does roll with it. Like whenever I make fun of him, like a joke on him, he just keeps rolling with it. And then bye, have a good one, and that sort of stuff. And if he rolls with it, like I guess I can't shit on it. You know
what you do is like, I mean, because you're good at it. What you make actual points that are, whereas like it's like you do steroids. It's like it's the thing that people just bring out every time because they know two things about you. You said something that caused cognitive dissonance in their brain, and now they want to insult you, and you're big and strong. So I got one option: steroids.
Well, that's a couple of things that I said. Is I told him that like most of his videos about Jacob is he doesn't have my basic blue pill politics. Ew, gross, gross. Ew, shame, gross. Ew, shame. Like that's the entirety. Like you should shame him. Gross. Ew, ooh, he doesn't like the trans. Ew, he doesn't. You know, it's just not really like it's thoughtless taintness. And then the other thing that I said is that he uses like a baby voice when he talks on this thing, like, that sort of thing. And so I was being a dickhead, like totally. I was like coming out and saying that stuff. So he said, but then he's apologizing for it. Whatever, bygones, bygones. But at the same time, too, I don't know. I think like making fun of. There was a whole weird thing going on yesterday that all the ex-Mormons ended up on the side of the polygamy deniers because they don't like Jacob Hansen. And
yeah, that was wild.
People are so one-dimensional. What the fuck?
Yeah, and then he starts Culture Hall was bragging that this guy, the Jacob Isbell dude, beat Jacob in a fight, and it's like, well, okay, but where's the world where all you ex-Mormons would be mortified that these guys are trying to act like Joseph Smith was a saint when your previous stance or probably current stance is the guy was probably in your view a grooming rapist.
Yeah, I know. Somewhere there's a political compass of like polygamy. It was, and the one of the axes is he did it, he didn't do it, and then the other axis is it was good, it was bad.
Yeah.
The Washington Post broke a story about the Ensign Peak Fund, and the report that was sent into it had several references to tapirs, which
how he said it. Like I got a wedgie something. Is there something around a wedgie? I gotta get it out of my bones.
You can put a thong on your guitar and just.
I need like a wedgie voodoo doll just to get it out. Like I can't take this out on an actual human.
Is a symbol of anti-Mormonism on the internet. It's a little bit of a joke. They're making fun of Dan Peterson, who made an argument that might be what horses meant in the Book of Mormon translation. And they don't particularly care for that argument. And so tapirs has become a little bit of an icon. And if you look at like the ex-Mormon subreddit.
Why does anybody say tapirs? Like, why does he got to say it?
I mean, it sounds cooler than taper. Taper is a stupid sounding word. I always said tapirs or tapirs. I said tapirs the first time I heard it because I was like, there's no way it's tapers because tapers sounds stupid. But
according to Wikipedia, it's taper.
Yeah, no, that's what
it sounds like a Utah accent. You're right, but you know how
tapir. Like, well, if you sound like tapir, then you sound like a fag trying to speak French.
I know.
Tapir.
Like that's literally the icon on there is a picture of a tapir. And so reading this as someone in the know who understands this Latter-day Saint space, I could immediately recognize this document as being motivated in part by anti-Mormon animus.
What the shit?
Right? The person who wrote this has this dog whistle about tapirs that people
whistle
hear who share their sentiments. And yet that was not reported by a single media outlet so far as I know. The Washington Post left it out of theirs. Was it
okay?
These are religion dispatches that published.
Okay, I'm going to channel Kwaku here. All right. I don't normally attack people like this, but how come between every 3 words he has to snort? The tapir.
When he's talking about tapirs.
Yeah, he's like, the tapir is an animal that we think might have been a replacement of a horse.
It sounds like he's doing an impersonation of a tapir.
That's mean. I'm making fun of him. God damn it. I need to stop.
I'm just wishing that it was even though this concept is stupid, this is some sort of bigotry trope, this sort of thing. It's really stupid. I mean, because one of the things that drives me crazy about this is like when something's not bigotry, it really makes it hard when something is bigotry to like sort it out. You know what I mean? Like, when I defended some people in the ex-Mormon world 100% when they said they would not hire Mormons. Like that is bigotry that is against the Civil Rights Act. It's actually against the EEOC. And that's a flip. And I went through.
It's also stupid and immoral and based on a bad model of reality.
But making fun of tapirs is not bigotry. And
it's a dog whistle, okay? Dog whistle is what I say when I want to call something racist, but it's not obviously racist to fucking anyone.
And so something like that. I mean, it's a little bit of a niche thing. I mean, it's a dog whistle. Literally, only certain people are meant to be able to hear and understand that.
Just give me a name. Give me a name. Who would you like me to condemn? Proud Boy.
Oh, and then
there you
links
go.
it to the Proud Boys stand by and stand down dog whistle that apparently only the left heard. So I guess they're the dogs that it was whistling to.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Listen, right, Proud Boys. Stand back and stand by.
So the implication is that the media didn't know, and an organization like this could have at least pointed that out.
Isn't that the role of the church PR department itself? And the church does have PR reps in all stakes, in all regions. The informing of the public does seem like a church role, not an independent role. Am I wrong about that?
You know, the church is a religious organization. It's not a civil rights organization. And I think
correcting misinformation is definitely something the church does.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
The church PR does.
Yeah. But I don't think it's necessarily wise or appropriate for the church to be reaching out to say, hey, you've missed this angle on your story. Oh, I had wish you had thrown this in. I mean, you probably work with church PR more than anyone.
All the time.
Do you? Where they're
all the time.
The story.
Do you feel like the institution somehow is handcuffed in a way that they can't do some of those things?
I wouldn't describe it as handcuffed. Okay. But I would say that because of the institutional.
Why? Like, why does he? Maybe he's got asthma or something. Maybe he's in the hospital or something.
Yeah, what is that?
Structure, and because of their need to represent Jesus Christ on earth to the people who are there, that there are ways that people engage in the public square in terms of correction and information that they wouldn't do, but that there's a space, an appropriate space for.
So now that you've had
Damn.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess we can pull up a card and doing the same about the Utah Jazz thing. So did you guys follow that story at all?
No, I didn't.
Just a little bit.
I saw. I know Forrest made a couple posts about it, and I don't know. I remember Jacob said something about Ward Radio being a comedy show, and I kind of like pushed back on that because I was like, man, I remember Crowder doing that all the time. It was one of the earliest things that bugged the shit out of me about Crowder, right? Because he would, anytime he got any pushback at all, he'd be like, "This first and foremost, this is a comedy show, okay? We do comedy here." I was like, well, I mean, I haven't laughed in 3 hours, but okay. And like, oh, you also like are a sort of a news show, so provide news. And I see Cardin doing the exact same thing. I think Cardin tries to seriously mirror Crowder because he does the same cadence and everything.
The high-low, but Jon Stewart used to do the "I'm just a comedian" bit too to get out of stuff. Like, we just throw spitballs. Yeah. So, reaction to Mormon grooming. Like, a bunch of people were saying that the situation was Mormon grooming. What do you know? What details do you know about that situation?
So all I know is that the girl, like I said, I read Forrest's post about it where he's saying that this woman went to prom with this guy when she was like 25 or something, which is kind of fucking weird.
She's 8 years older than he is.
She was
started dating him when she was in high school, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
She
weird.
went to his high school prom after she had her master's degree.
Oh God,
That's weird.
That sounds even weirder when you say it like that.
And so there was some other thoughts. People can't verify it for sure, but they said that she did some babysitting around his family, and some of that babysitting might have been him, like when she was maybe 18 and he was 13 or 14 or something like that. They said it looks like pretty apparent that they obviously started dating at 17-ish. And then because in that picture of the prom, they said we've been together for like a year or something like that. And then lastly, so all this stuff happened where in the NBA draft, he was supposed to go much, much higher. He was supposed to go in the first round. He went in the second round, like a couple into the second round, and he went to the Utah Jazz. And they say that he fell and dropped in the draft because when all the teams interviewed him, they thought there was something very weird about his family situation.
Really?
Yeah. So they said it seemed that he dropped because he has been completely what's the word? Like he's completely dropped his family. His parents and his brothers online have said that this girl's cut him off from like.
Well, so then it's weird. Really, it's weird to me to defend that guy, that family, right? It's I don't know what Ward Radio does here, but I'm like if you are on the Mormon defense team or whatever, your best defense here is to just say, these guys aren't actually following Mormonism, like right? Because I don't know a Mormon person who would say you should cut off your entire family if they don't support your decision to join the Mormon Church.
Yeah,
I knew people like that.
Like it was just fine. I think they were kind of like brushing it off. Like it was just fine. I think the situation sounds, on first sight, looking at all, it sounds scuzzy, and it sounds like I was joking about like those rape teachers or something like that. But we don't know for sure or not if they are going to get baptized in the Mormon Church. They know that she is Mormon, but John, to Forrest's credit, what he was pointing out, so they compare these two different things. The Mormon discussions guys and John both were skeptical about how Mormon she was or not, because in like all their different pictures, there's kind of Quaker garment stuff going on there. Like there's no, so she dresses kind of non-Mormon-y, if
like tank tops or whatever.
Yeah, that sort of
She
stuff.
doesn't look like she talks like Michelle Stone.
Yeah. But so they're all kind of skeptical on like how Mormon or not they're going. I mean, it might just be like a typical older lady kind of pushing the guy, and just so happens that she's Mormon. It might be that they're also doing the Mormon thing, who knows? But you would think that if they were doing the full Mormon thing, like Ward Radio was saying, like, flirt to convert and all that stuff, she would be pushing him to go on a mission if she was like that gung-ho about that sort of stuff. The family and the parents say that she's just been a gold digger and knew that he was a cash cow and would go to the NBA and she's trying to marry him and get a baby or something. That's the whole weird story going on right there. I just fast forwarded the tropes thing. Later they covered that trailer about Heretic. This might be there, but I want to just hit them talking about Jewish tropes first.
Discrimination happening against by certain companies, big companies, that were discriminating against Black people or against women or against Jewish people or whatever.
Yeah, it's not. Where is it? I'm just looking for where it says blacks and Jews. Hold on.
Or just anti-Mormon garbage. Say it about blacks, Jews, or Muslims. Like, do you dare call rabbis teaching?
They're grooming people into Judaism.
Yeah, they're grooming.
So this is like the one point, because like yesterday when I was arguing with Culture Hall, I was saying to them, like, why isn't Christopher Hitchens a bully? And my answer is that he is a bully, and he was fine being a bully.
Yeah, he was definitely a bully.
You know what I mean? Like if you're defending and fighting and you're going into the world of blood sports, just be a bully. But one of the things about Christopher Hitchens is you couldn't like say this stuff to him, because yes, he would say it about the Muslims. Yes, he would say it about the Jews. Yes, he would say it about whoever. And that's like kind of like the whole litmus test to me is like, do you pull your punches for certain things that you baby or something like that.
Well, and it's almost becoming like it's getting to the point where you're considered like basically a boomer if you try to point out the double standard in the thing. If you say, imagine the roles were reversed, that's like a trope at this point. You say, well, imagine if this dude were white and that.
What aboutism? What aboutism?
And I'm like, but it's still a thing, It is because I don't know. Like he's writing away that, like, yeah, there's a lot of things that you could say about Mormons or Christians in general that they don't want you to say about Jews or Muslims. Like you get in trouble for one and not the other. I get that, but he goes hard on the we're just like Jews in the Holocaust thing.
Yeah. So I've seen a bunch of TikTok videos on this stuff too, and some people were even pointing out that he posed with Karl Malone's jersey with the 32 because he was picked number 32, and that blew up all over TikTok because you've heard about Karl Malone and the underage dating that Karl Malone was doing, sorts of stuff. And they said, well, that's a bad look. That's a bad PR look. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
It's the league. This is all a weird situation. But what is a little funny is that while Kyle Filipowski's girlfriend might have groomed him into the Mormon culture, he got drafted by the Utah Jazz. This situation is serious and it's not funny, but like, of course he got drafted to the Jazz out of all teams.
Okay, so the situation isn't serious and funny, but it's freaking hilarious.
Yeah, I don't see what's so serious about it.
Well, like every conspiracy, like all roads lead to Rome, he ends up getting recruited by the Utah Jazz. That's really funny.
The insinuation seems.
Well, I do think I don't think there's like some conspiracy to get into the Utah Jazz, but I do think there's a level of the Utah Jazz would be like, yeah, we can overlook that.
Yeah, and we can deal with it. Yeah,
that's weird for other people, but we know how to deal with that.
This is a little off topic, but on the Midnight Mormons, who would you least want to hang out with? Like if you had to hang out with any Midnight Mormon person that's on there somewhat frequently,
from top to bottom,
you could only eliminate one of them. Who would you eliminate?
Carden.
Really? Because it's Luke. It's Luke for me. I don't know why.
Like, I don't really know Luke.
He just seems like.
I guess I know the Luke. Yeah,
he seems like such a nerd.
No, it's
Elder Whitbeck. Elder Whitbeck seems like the coolest dude.
I like Brad.
Kwaku is good at a party.
Kwaku would be fun at a party, and Kwaku could also just get weird with you. Like getting weird would be perfectly fun.
Luke looks like the kind of guy that would want to tell me the entire history of One Piece. This is just me being a judgmental asshole. He's probably a nice, cool guy. I don't know. I'm just being.
I think I'm politically aligned enough with Luke. I could talk to him forever about it because he like does all that stuff, like breaking stories of the BYU N-word case and all that sorts of stuff.
No, he was good on the whole N-word case.
And then he broke a lot of the stories on the Black Menaces. He broke that stuff too.
Oh yeah. I wonder what Carden would be like when he's not like performing. Maybe he's a different guy when he's not doing his shtick. But
yeah,
I don't know, man. I don't think he's got it in him to be anything other than this.
I don't dislike him. The thing is, like, I mean, we all grew up around Mormons, so like, none of us would have that hard of a time. It wouldn't be too much different than being like your elders' quorum or your, something like that. But Jonah Barnes finding interest in all the mundane things in the world, like you feel like Luke looks like he would get excited about that stuff, but we know Jonah does get excited about that stuff and is constantly talking about the most recent plaque put up at a dang monument in Tennessee or something like that. Like
it might actually be Carden
Ninja Turtles,
because I'm realizing like if one of the biggest red flags in me not wanting to hang out with a person is if they have a literal catchphrase. If you're an actual person that has an actual catchphrase, I don't want to hang out with you.
What is his catchphrase?
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying, dog?
He does some boom shakalakas, but he says a lot of so on and so forth. And then everybody says the codifieds type stuff. But I could hang out with any single one of them, and it wouldn't feel too much different than growing up hanging out with Mormon type stuff.
I'm sure I would.
All depends on.
I know that Luke would want to. I know that Luke would want to play like a giant board game that he would have to spend.
Okay, yeah, no,
58 minutes explaining to me or something.
Oh man, I spent all afternoon doing that.
I have, yeah. You probably did that with like our mutual friend who keeps trying to get me to do that, and I keep saying to those guys like, if you guys studied American law, you would be experts at it. Like, the amount of time you guys put in these dang games.
Like Duke could have gone without tweeting out a photo of Kyle Filipowski holding up a Karl Malone jersey. That's just my opinion. I'm not trying to take away. This man made it to the NBA. That's something to be proud of. But God likes to have a laugh. And Kyle Filipowski.
Do you know?
I don't understand why that's not good.
You don't know the story of Karl Malone?
No. I don't know shit about the NBA.
Karl Malone, who was the Utah Jazz's main mega dude, he was the second highest scorer in the NBA all time.
I mean, I know who he is. I know he's one of the big ones.
Okay, I didn't know how far back you had to go.
Yeah. No, you're good. Sorry.
Came out that like when he was 18, 19, 20, he knocked up some like 13-year-old girl.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, and then he wouldn't claim the kid.
Malone?
He wouldn't claim the kid for like 30 years. Now, then finally he did claim the kid some years, and that kid actually made the NFL. The kid from that situation, he became a Ravens guy on the same line with that dude from The Blind Side who turned on all the people who like put out that movie about him, and then but anyway, Karl Malone finally accepted the kid all those years later. You could look at it a little bit sideways, like Romeo Juliet stuff, because people want to frame it like adult Karl Malone raped this little girl or something like that. He was 18, 19, 20-ish or something like that. But the girl was young.
She was 13. That's a little bit much. So all I know about Karl Malone,
he was a backwoods bumpkin from Louisiana.
He was a total backwards bum. Like people, I mean, that's why Jimmy Kimmel made fun of him for being.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. All I know about Karl Malone, I learned from Jimmy Kimmel back when he was funny.
Like when Thomas Sowell talks about the black rednecks, like that's Karl Malone is one of the black rednecks.
Really?
That guy's a total country boy.
Did you see Jimmy Kimmel was on Two Bears, One Cave?
Yeah, and the comment section, including me, blew up. On
yeah, well, he's like, yeah, I think your fans don't like me, and Bert Kreischer's like, what? No
They're
way.
just jealous or something. They're just jealous, or they don't get like.
They think I'm somewhat of a sellout. Like, what are you? Of course you are. Didn't you make a song about the vaccine, you fucking dickwad?
Hey Jimmy, how about you lecture me about stuff when I've never put girls jumping on trampolines for a show or done blackface? But
I know.
You lecture me, comedian. Like, come lecture me.
I've never done anything even like a fraction as sexist as your man show shit.
And I wouldn't have been shitty to you about it because you were just doing comedy until you started lecturing me.
And
one of my favorite
pranks, and everybody got the joke.
One of my favorite pranks ever is that they had like an artist went to they vandalized a Jimmy Kimmel ad that was, they put like eyeliner on him and lipstick, and it just said Jimmy Kimmel the estrogen hour.
Risa says we should do fat dudes jumping on trampoline. We could make up for it. Like we should start a show of making up for Jimmy Kimmel's sexist show, and the man apology show. It's the man apology show. Ziggy zaggy, sorry. What's that?
Do you know who Zach Holmes is?
Mm-mm.
So this dude is crazy. You're talking about fat dudes on trampolines. Zach Holmes he was so crazy that they put him in the most recent Jackass movie. He's like morbidly obese, and he's more insane than most of those Jackass guys. Like he did this stunt where he just in shorts rode on a bike and just ramped off into just a pile of cactus, just belly flopped into a bunch of cactus, or he jumped off of a trampoline and belly flopped onto like light bulbs and shit. The dude's fucking nuts, and that's what I thought of when you talked about fat dudes on a trampoline.
Do you have a video of that guy? I can watch that.
Oh, I can.
That sounds like a 4th of July.
Sure, I'll find one and send it to you. Have you watched Jackass 4?
Yeah. Oh, maybe I did see it then because I did see.
No, I don't think it was on that. He was famous for doing that shit like before.
Oh, the Karl Malone stats, in case you're interested, was he was 20 and the girl was 13. But as Flip said, he was a backwoods bumpkin. But, and this was 50, 30, 40 years ago now. But
to be clear, he is still a backwoods bumpkin. He's also just Karl fucking Malone.
Yeah.
Number
But
2 on the all-time pointless on the NBA.
if you grow up like a major Karl Malone and John Stockton fan, as I did, it's tough because any sort of YouTube video, you cannot watch a YouTube video about Karl Malone's legacy without all the Reddit commenters to come in and say, Karl Malone's terrible bad man, dude. And then of course they also come in and say John Stockton was COVID denied. So
here's the thing. So just the other day at breakfast, having breakfast with a friend that I haven't seen in a while, and he's talking about, oh, John Stockton is a famous asshole. And I was like, wait, hang on. Like, he is one of the most legendarily well-liked people in history.
Yeah,
you know?
my
like,
ex-wife used to serve him at a restaurant all the time and said he was legendarily polite.
Yeah, and he like his whole thing came down to like, well, my dad met him once and he didn't wasn't real nice to him. And then it came out like, oh, it was the COVID shit. And I'm like, yeah, no, exactly. Like, yeah. And then it came out as the COVID shit. And I'm like, well, I should have fucking known it was the COVID shit. But like, because it's just like, hang on a second. Like, yeah, just that. Like, this guy is like legendary for being just so nice. I mean, I think you sent me the link. I watched it. It's like, there's like a clip that's just 45 minutes of NBA players talking about John Stockton. And it's the most wonderful, heartwarming thing.
And they also, but they did. He was also a famous gangster on the court. I mean, Jim Rome used to call him the pasty gangster. But I mean, he left it all out on the court. And one of the things that used to drive Gary Payton, who loves him, and they were fierce rivals, which was a different about the NBA in that time as opposed to these days. Because like back then, the fierce rivals wanted to beat each other, not get on the same team with each other. And Gary Payton and John Stockton, and Gary Payton will never stop speaking up John Stockton. John Stockton speaks up Gary Payton, but they were fierce rivals. But Gary Payton was famous. He was called the Glove for being like the best defender in the NBA, and he was famous for being the biggest shit talker. But if you go listen to him talk about John Stockton, what drove him nuts is he could not get in John Stockton's head, and he could not get him to not just say, good game, way to go, nice job, and that sort of stuff. No matter how mean he talked to him, no matter how shitty he said things to him, he could not crack him. You know?
Yeah, but COVID.
Yeah.
Very talented skateboarder. He's gonna ride a skateboard down through this hill.
Oh my gosh!
And over all of these cactuses.
Watch out, Tony Hawk.
Oh, I'm watching.
He looks like Stavros from.
Exactly.
From takeoff to landing, it's 29.5 feet.
I think I can land
Oh no!
Good luck, brother.
Thank you.
Oh my god!
Oh my god! Fuck! Oh my god!
Okay. I know it's not good.
Yeah, that's got to be deadly.
Why? Like get some infection or something?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'm out.
You get spider AIDS.
Oh god. Oh, that one's deep. Oh.
Wow.
Did you
Oh god.
How much did he get paid for that?
I don't
see
know.
that?
Is
Oh
it
my
worth
God.
it?
Dude, you're a gnarly guy, dude.
He's fucking crazy. Anyway, I gotta get out of here. My kids are ready for firework day.
You
So
doing fireworks?
oh yeah. Well, I mean the neighborhood's doing a bunch. They're excited.
Oh, it's like out on the street.
Yeah,
fireworks.
Lucas has been
Yeah.
banging on the door telling me that he got ready for firework day. So I gotta head out. But
Did you ever see the fireworks where they accidentally shot off all the fireworks at the same time in Los
holy
Angeles?
shit.
Oh yeah.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, they said it was amazing, but it only lasted 30 seconds.
Yeah, we always have. So we have
Yeah.
Frank Vandersloot he owns Melaleuca. He's a local multi-millionaire, and
From an MLM.
he puts Jesus Christ. Yeah, it's an MLM. he puts on the fireworks show every year, and every year we're always told that it is going to be bigger and better than last year, and that it's the biggest fireworks show west of the Mississippi. Like, that's an actual claim everyone in Idaho Falls makes every single year. I don't know how close to true it is, but he seriously spends like $3 to $4 million on it every year.
Crazy.
Wait, this is like your local in the neighborhood guy, or this is like down the the
Idaho Falls guy?
This is like the Idaho Falls guy. He does it like right along the Snake River. So I don't know how true that is, but I also don't go to it because the traffic is fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Anyway, I gotta go do fireworks with my kids. You guys have fun.
Have a party.
Yep, we'll see you.
America.
Bum bum bum. What's that song? That turns into something else.
America.
Yeah, that's just the intro. What is it? What is
America? Fuck yeah.
Oh, is that? Oh, okay.
Yeah. I listened to I got up this morning and I literally put on the extra extended medley version from the South Park concert. And I woke up this morning and I put that on.
That's funny. Anyway, should we talk? I got Dan McClellan stuff because he was on Zelf on the Shelf.
Yeah,
it was all pretty much like Dan McClellan. What's that?
I said, let's knock a few more things out. We don't have to go too long because people want to get out for fireworks.
Yeah, let's just talk what's the fallout of the Biden stuff over the last week, and then call it.
That's so okay, because I didn't watch the debate itself because part of me is like, I know how this goes, right?
You still haven't watched it?
I still haven't watched it, right? But then I just watched the fallout, you know, because even BBC, like all the usual suspects were like, oh yeah, no, he looked awful, right? Like,
yeah, and the whole left side of the media just turned on him, just lost their brains and turned on him entirely, and that's as creepy as anything. Let me see how James Lindsay put it here if I can find it. I got too many clips now that I got to get rid of some of them since we're not going to cover some of the other things. He says you get to watch what happens when the whole machine says you're allowed to now notice something, and it's just totally true. How.
Like I said, who saw this coming? Who could have possibly seen this coming? Everybody saw it. Duh. Come on.
Yeah, here it is. And John DeLynn also commented on it because, oh, are you kidding me? Hold on. I just had it up. Dang it. Man, why did it do that? Here we go. I got it. Because we're about to discover how obvious an obvious thing obviously is after the machine. And then right after that, I see John DeLynn say, both major political parties in the United States are broken. And both major candidates are absolutely unfit for office in their own ways.
In their own ways.
In their own ways.
This is one of the things that really just pisses me off so much. Is just because, goddamn, okay, Trump is a turd. I did not vote for him, would not vote for him. Mm-hmm. But I think Scott Adams talked about it. Who was it? Said but you can I just listened to somebody mention this, and I've done it in real life myself. You can break people's brains by just asking them, what's the worst thing Trump ever did as president? Just what's the worst thing Trump did? Just say that. What's the worst thing Trump did? And they just go and get an actual serious answer out of them.
So there's Mark Hamill trying to kind of disguise for it, but he even says it's a bad night. Sam Tripoli says, it's bad. Mark Hamill can't even defend it. Jared pulled this one up, and some other people did that. In Black Twitter, all these sorts of people were saying this N-word Biden, this N-word Biden isn't it. I have never seen stuff blow up so hard on a guy, and it was all happening in real time after you got sick last week and went to sleep, and we were here in real time last week. But then the AP says today, well, he sometimes forgets himself, but he's still lucid and all that sorts of stuff. But panic engulfs the party. I mean, to me, it's like one of the craziest things of our time frame, just of seeing in real time just this lie that an entire media apparatus was holding, and we all knew were holding, and then they all of a sudden all just get marching orders to do something else. And I kind of just can't believe that it shifted and moved like that so hard in real time. It was like a flock of a part in the Jurassic Park where they see the flock of dinosaurs shift and come towards them. Like, what the hell? Like, I don't think I'd ever see it so obvious.
I just feel blessed that like I had George Orwell in 1984 to explain this to me 20 years ago. Because like I read that book and like I'm like, oh, that's what he's talking about. Because like otherwise I'd be like, what the fuck? How? Seriously, how? But now I just know like, oh no, this is just how their minds work. Don't you remember, brother? Joe Biden has always been demented. Like everybody's always known that.
Yeah. There is the journalists when the cathedral finally allows them to stop apologizing for Biden. I'm sure like the comedians, like all those comedians that we know are decent comedians, I'm sure that we've said before, they're probably pissed that they're not allowed to be making fun of this. Like they could have made careers off of this the whole way through. Things that should not, and then of course all the apologies come out. Like you pulled up that thing where that guy says, why are we not talking about January 6th? Or things that should not be happening. The president of the United States legitimizing a traitor who attacked his own capital by agreeing to debate on national television. James Lindsay warning about like, there's something creepy about the whole thing and the way they're all just like suddenly changing and saying like, watch out. I liked this post. Well, it's in the hands of the voter fraud now. So we've seen people like all panicking about this Agenda 2025, which is like the new marching orders. Well, there's multiple marching orders. One, they were saying that Trump's now a dictator because they passed that immunity thing from the from POTUS or from SCOTUS, that they just basically passed what it always was. Like there's so many times in these like current days, like when Trump put out that DEI executive order that you're not to discriminate against people for race, like that already was the law from the Civil Rights Act. So why are we putting out executive orders that say what the Civil Rights Act says? But it's the same thing with this. Like the SCOTUS ruled on a situation with immunity that is just what it always was, that a president acting as president cannot be tried criminally. If the situation was done acting as president, you must impeach, and then after you impeach, you can try them criminally. It's what it always was. It's just what it was. Yeah. It's in the federal.
Was. And that's the other thing is like, because like every time I've heard somebody mention it's like, oh my gosh, the Supreme Court. Oh, what now? And I just say the same thing. Same thing. I'm breaking people's brains by just going, every living ex-president popped a bottle of champagne when they heard that ruling. All of them, especially Obama. They all popped a bottle of champagne when the Supreme Court said, yeah, you can't try presidents for official acts.
Yeah. So Vivek's putting out this thing here. So the other thing that like the new marching orders to panic about is this Project 2025 stuff, which is wild to me because, I mean, maybe if you're not a conservative, it's like, oh, that thing sucks. But the whole entire thing is just simply that they realized that the first time Trump got in, that they did not replace enough of those deep state positions. And Lotus Eaters did a good episode on deep state and the people trying to deny the deep state, but the deep state's good. Like there's so many articles that they put out, the deep state's not real and it's good and you should like it, and it'll be dangerous if Trump changes it. But
it's also like the whole nobody fucks with the election. Also, we bragged about fortifying the election, like so that classical number.
Exactly. So between that immunity thing, they say Trump's acting as a king dictator now, and that this Project 2025 thing, which I read the whole thing of it here, it's just saying we are going to do what all other presidents did before Trump, and Trump could not do because he was first off, he was a bit green, but then second off, because they put out, this is, I think, the ulterior motive of that entire Russiagate thing. They said that because he was put in that situation, any sort of firings and stuff of people who were possibly investigating or possibly against him, these deep state people, any firings could be considered obstruction. So he couldn't do it. So every other president before him did a Project 25. They just changed all the agencies, changed all the deep staters to their people. That happened every single changeover, unless it was maybe like Dem to Dem. I don't even remember if that happened in recent history. But you can disagree with the people they want to put in there, and that's why you should vote for the other side. But it's not some sort of like the way the people on Twitter are freaking out about it, like it's an unprecedented. So this is what's driving me crazy about the whole thing. This is what feels to me like it feels like some weird world of religious, psychotic whateverness, is that none of this is different or weird. Like Trump is a 1990s Democrat replacing all of the deep staters, all of the agency people for your own agency people, and upholding immunity, which was in the Federalist Paper 69, is all this has ever been. Yet we are told we are supposed to freak out about all of this because it's Hitler, and we need to worry so much about this Hitler doing what everybody's already done for like the past 200. What did we say? The was 270 years. What's always been and the only way to save us from Hitler is to throw Joe Biden at it.
Yeah.
Like what sort of crazy? I cannot picture a religious thing people are getting me to swallow that's crazier than that. Like that, to me, that is the crazy cultish thing people want to shove down my throat of our time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I keep reiterating it. It's like, because I think Trump is a turd, but everybody keeps talking about like, because everyone's like, well, no, I'm not going to say that the alternative candidate of the moment is better or worse than Trump or, whatever. I'm not going to say they're okay. I'm not going to say they're not corrupt, but Trump is just so much worse. And I just keep asking, like, how? God damn it, how? Like, if you he talks like an asshole, sure, but outside of that, like, really, what did Trump do? Like, Joe Biden is a career influence peddler. Like, even again, like when you're talking about how they talk out of both sides of their mouths, Trump only wants the presidency to enrich himself. He's a dictator. And then I'll never forget, even New York Times, Trump lost money during his presidency. He's such a shitty businessman. He couldn't even make money as president.
It's so BPD. It's so BPD. And the thing is, totally
BPD.
As we've always stated from the front, we hate that we have to defend him as Trump. The concept is like any sort of these politicians are bags of shit. They're like the South Park says, it's turd sandwich and giant douche. And you're making us defend turd sandwich because you're telling us turd sandwich is Satan Hitler. And no, it's just turd sandwich. It's just turd sandwich, and it's always been turd sandwich. And you guys want us to buy this whole other thing up and telling us the only way we can avoid super monster horrible death is by voting giant douche now. Like, all that's ramped up is the language, and to me it's 100% worse than any sort of whatever Scientology or Mormonism or whatever people have tried to cram down my throats over the years. This is them telling us that Kamala Harris is both the first Indian and the first black woman. Depending.
Of course she is.
Here's George Takei saying Trump will take a Sharpie to the Declaration of Independence in our Constitution. Remember that. And then George Takei, we need to amend the Constitution to turn power to the incoming president far sooner.
I did this to my local city councilman with it was a few years ago. It might have been 4 years ago now, but it was the last time they wanted to delay Supreme Court nomination until the election. And I just because it was when Trump was in power, so he said, Yeah, that's right. Trump was in power. The Democrats had the Congress. The Democrats said we need to delay. And he posted this big passionate thing, many paragraphs long, about like, this is so important that we have to delay this Supreme Court nomination. And so all I did was comment with a screenshot of him 4 years before with, I think it was Merrick Garland. And all he posted was, boo, do your job, to a thing about Mitch McConnell saying, it's so important that we delay this, and just that. And then his husband called me a Russian bot, just typical shit. But like, just that, like, okay, there's your principles, buddy. There you go.
So just like that, the other big thing on Twitter right now is they say Trump packed the courts because he made nominations that fell on him as president.
Yeah.
The answer to it is we need to pack the courts. They're saying that they should take this president immunity clause and this executive action stuff and put in 6 more judges right now. And it's such Darvo, every single aspect of it is just like pure Darvo. Here's the Lotus Theater on the deep state. They're not playing the sound.
I'm not hearing anything.
You're not hearing anything?
No.
It's got that stupid sign up again with the thing. Anyway, the Lotus Eaters did like a whole video of the people saying there's no deep state, plus it's good. So I'll just that whole thing in the because there's been multiple articles put out about that. There's no deep state, plus it's good, and beware Trump taking it over.
Yeah.
Like multiple articles.
Remember this. There's no such thing as critical race theory, and you're an asshole if you're against it.
Yeah. And you're gonna put in your own version of it if we don't stop you. There it is in the comments. We don't need to listen to the whole thing. We only got so much time. I hear the fireworks going on out there, and we're talking about presidential races and all that sort of stuff because we're such patriotic patriots. And
America. I think it is kind of funny. Like, I'm like super American in a couple of different ways where it's like so patrilineally. If I go like just my dad's the first Johnson came to America in 1638. So like I don't know how many generations that is, but like I'm pretty fucking American right there. But then like my mom came here in 1971. So like I just got here. So like half of me has been here for 500 years, the other half of me just got here. And so I'm super American.
Yeah, it's that kind of well, I guess that's what we are. We're both of those, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's America. This election is going to be the dumbest in history. I have no idea what's going to happen. I don't think they can get rid of Biden. There's all sorts of stuff that I've heard about that there's a couple states that already like say that they couldn't put him on their ballot or something, that they swapped him out. There's something about that they can't swap the money and a bunch of other different like little legal things. Although when has legal stuff stopped them from stuff in the past?
Oh yeah.
I don't think they can move him out. I don't think they can. So whatever we watch over the next couple months is just going to be so stupid. So stupid. And the flip end of all of that is I fear that we do just elect Trump again. And we've been able to ride off of like 4 years of saying like he didn't do that much. And what we'll still have to sit there and wait for the next 4 years and go, please, Trump, don't do anything stupid so we can just say that. You know what I mean? Like, please don't do anything real stupid.
Well, it's like, because one thing is because, like for a while, I've been saying like, look, as stupid as the right is, they're not as out of their minds as the left is. And then this thing where Louisiana says they're going to put the 10 commandments up in every classroom. It's like, oh, God damn it, guys.
Yeah.
No. Like, it's the wrong direction. Knock it off.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see that happen. Then secondly, like all the COVID stuff happened on Trump's watch. There's something you can't look. And I couldn't doubt that they wouldn't think that, like, wouldn't it be better for us, or wouldn't we be more able to pull shit like that off under Trump than under this situation? Because it will just look bad on Trump. We could pull off some big, dumb, stupid thing, or let the economy crash under Trump so we can blame it on him. Like, that'll be the perfect time to just let it all fall, because the economy for a while feels like it's been like Wile E. Coyote that's ran off the cliff and it just hasn't looked down yet. And maybe looking down is Trump just needs to get elected, and then we can look down and then fall, you know. But who knows? I don't know. I certainly don't think just Trump getting elected is going to save anything or change anything, or it might even make stuff worse. But the other side's a bunch of lying, gaslighting pieces of shit, and always have been. And turd sandwich, giant douche, whatever, you know. But
I was thinking about the South Park where they episode The Snook, and it's about Hillary Clinton running for president, and her security detail actually referred to as Miss Sandwich.
Yeah. it's so goofy. And then the same time, like, kind of to be a proper ex-Mormon this whole entire proper time, we were supposed to agree with the thing that, man, we better agree that Biden and Hillary Clinton are the better choices here. Like, shut up. Just shut up. You know? But, you know, we saw some of that stuff more this week. Here's Babylon B saying, Biden for president, only senile some of the time. They really actually literally said that. That was in the AP today.
No, when they came out and they bragged that he works from 11 to 4 and gets a nap.
He's fine from 11 to 4.
11 to 4 with a nap.
What the heck's gonna happen? Like, how can this can't? I don't know. It's gonna be such a weird 4 months, these next 4 months. But well, let me see here. I've got the where's the post where the AP said that? Because that joke isn't far from how the AP puts it. Here it is.
That's right.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Man, this thing's tripping out on me here.
Sanders is done.
Who's done?
Riso says, or somebody says Sanders in for Biden. I don't think.
I don't think it was Sanders. I think they could only go with Kamala, and if it's not Kamala, they can't do it.
I was kind of thinking like who could possibly be stepped down from Joe Biden? Well, Kamala Harris is there.
Kamala Harris is there, and they know that people don't like her that much. But I've heard that she's also the only one that could take over like the campaigning if he steps down, like the campaign money funds that have already been sent.
Oh,
here it is. The AP, Biden at 81, sharp and focused, but sometimes confused and forgetful.
Yeah.
I don't think they could like oust her and put anybody else in there. Plus, they've already like identity politics themselves into the position so hard with that.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know. It's dumb. It's been dumb, and we were since 8 years ago. Since 8 years ago. Really, I mean, one of the reasons Flip and I are here is because we just got fed up with ex-Mormons, because some of this stuff, this type of thing, you couldn't say plainly to them. And they could speak whatever they wanted, whatever, like just like you saw John Larson, he could say whatever wild thing he wanted to say about the conservatives or Donald Trump or Trumpism or whatever. They could, like, that was all kosher for the whole ex-Mormon world. But this whole thing that the Emperor's New Clothes just started here right now, for 8, 9, 10 years, a damn decade, you were ousted out of ex-Mormon world. If you just noticed, like you could even be pro-Biden, but just noticed. You could even be pro-Hillary and just notice she was kind of shitty and a shitty person. But yeah, and you were just ousted. Like you aren't a proper ex-Mormon. You're out. Because it was. And then Dan McClellan can be a perfectly acceptable Mormon because he shares these politics with you. Like, the religion dumped off, and this became the religion, and it's a decade now. And it feels like just this week is the first time anybody's allowed to say, hey, did you notice that this whole side was a bunch of sociopathic piece of shits? That piece of shit. Like, did you notice that at all? You know?
Think about that. Hey, yeah.
We
They're
granted you
evil.
from the start that this guy's a narcissist and like self-loving, aggrandizing, whatever.
Yeah.
We've granted that all along, but we weren't allowed to say this other thing this whole entire time.
I mean, it's one of the most frustrating things for me from the last few years about the whole about to say Holocaust denier, election denier. This whole election denial thing is just that I'm old enough to remember the 2000 election. Like, I'm old enough to remember that. I'm old enough to remember all of that. And I'm also know that, like, I'm trying to, like, how many Democrats that voted Democrat in 2020 will say these words today? George H.W. Bush legitimately won the 2020 or the 2000 election. Sorry, I've been drinking champagne. I'm excited. Like, they won't say that. Like, they still go like, well, you know, everybody knows that he wasn't even supposed to be president, but the crooks of the election, crooks of the Supreme Court stole the election. Like, for 20 years, that's the story. Like, none of these Democrats have come out and said, you know, like, Republicans are wrong to deny elections, which is why I affirm the 2000 election was totally legitimate. They won't say it. They won't say it.
But there was all sorts of them. Like, you can even like go back and watch video of, there was all sorts of people who were appealing to not have the election certified under Trump. There was an insurrection going on that day with a bunch of people out in the street lighting fires outside and all that sort of stuff. It wasn't at the Capitol, but it was out in like the squares. But Hillary Clinton said multiple times, what's her name? Kelly, whatever her name, Kelly, that lady who did the Megyn Kelly pointed out to Bill Maher that Hillary Clinton multiple times said that it was an illegitimate election.
Yeah.
And then they keep asking Trump, will you accept the election if Trump gets asked? How come nobody ever asked them? Will you accept the election if Trump gets elected? Will you?
Yeah, nobody asked them,
Russiagate was a not accepting of the election. The
For 4
whole
years,
entire concept of Russiagate was not accepting the election.
Democratic Congress denied the election. All of them. They all participated in 2 rounds of farcical election denial. But anyway, we're beating a dead horse.
We are beating a dead horse, and I was just kind of trying to hit 2 hours because we can like cut an hour out for the holiday this year. But I would recommend going and listening, because I was going to go to John Larson's podcast today. Oh, this is the one thing that I did want to pull up on John Larson. But Jared would have to be here for it, because John Larson made the admission that I don't know how Maven would take this if she were to hear it, that not all people who are pro-life are just mother and women haters. He said that some of them just view that baby as a human that has rights.
Whoa.
He said that in his
Wait, I'm confused. Because
Yeah.
I saw drawings of a chicken fetus and a whale fetus and a fish fetus and a human fetus, and at certain stages they look the same.
Yeah. Dang it, I was gonna bring that up to Jared. I had a surprise because I would have shared it earlier, but I didn't share it at all because I wanted to like drop it as a surprise of John Larson saying the thing that would, I guess, make Maven lose her mind if she were to hear it.
When Risto says, you think Kamala could beat Trump? Because, like, I mean, I made the joke, but it's also kind of true, is that, like, Biden gibbers like a moron because he's 81 and his mind is slipping. What is Kamala Harris's excuse? Like, she sounds stupid. And you can't blame old age on it.
She's unlikable. She's had like a bunch of people. She's like, there's been a bunch of reports that most of her staff has quit and quit and quit over and over again because they don't like her and she's terrible. But to answer that, all the way back when Biden got elected and as the most popular person ever, which I do think there was some like electioneering in that, but the electioneering was probably just that they had a bunch of gung-ho people go out and round up every vote they could possibly get from a homeless person or from a, you know, I think maybe they gathered up the votes, although there's been a bunch of stuff of saying like they've burned and gotten rid of some of reproducing some of the same votes and some of the signatures on those votes. However, I could believe that they rounded up a possible vote because they had such gung-ho teams out there to go round up whatever vote from whatever old folks home, and that they really did get that because there was enough Trump hate in the world. It was never for Biden. Like, Trump is so polarizing. There could be enough hate that anybody could beat him. Like, anybody could beat him because people are either voting for him or against him. Nobody's voting for the other person. So I don't care who the other person is. It'll be a tight race because everybody in the country has a moratorium of, I hate Trump. I'm fine with Trump. I hate Trump. I love Trump.
Yeah.
I think that's the only vote. That's the only vote that happened last time. It's the only vote that's happening this time. Like, nobody's thinking of the other person except Biden might have hit a point where they said, well, we can't have a dead guy do it. You know?
Yeah.
So,
85 if he survives. Because here's the other thing is, like, because he's a million years old and he could drop dead any second. And could you just imagine, like, just either one of them, if either one of the candidates, because they're both old men, if they were to drop dead in this period of time, like, oh my God. First off, Alex Jones would have a whole new life broadcasting out of the Cayman Islands or something where they can't take his money. But
yeah. I'll just play real fast and we'll do it the last thing. Here's John Larson granting what we were trying to get Maven to grant about abortion. And of course, he like a whole view of, like, you know, there's all sorts of reasons why the left and the right should get along, but of course, he had a completely leftist description and view of everything. But still, he made some grantings that Maven would not grant.
I'll give you an example. Let's go straight to the heart of it. Let's talk about abortion. Of course, the left depicts the anti-abortionists as people who hate women and want to subject women to the patriarchy, and who want to control women's bodies, and who have no respect for mothers. The people on that's the way the sort of left depicts the right. The right depicts the left as murderers, people who want to kill babies, and they even go so far, the extremists, to say, you know, the extremists on the left will say they want to imprison all women and create some kind of a
Handmaid's Tale. You're saying Handmaid's Tale.
Handmaid's Tale sort of thing.
There it is.
And of course, the people on the right will say, well, the left just wants to murder babies and they drink their blood and all that kind of stuff. So they go to the worst of the worst of the worst and depict the other side as cruel villains from a horror movie. In my life, I grew up in conservative areas. I've known lots of people on both sides of this issue. I have never met a single person who is a fan of abortion. I think that we all actually believe in the sacredness of life. Now, there are those who are not religious who, if I substitute the word preciousness or something like that, then they would agree with the statement. But I think we all believe that there's something special about life. And for religious people, it has a connection to the divine. For non-religious people, when life is just life, and it is important. And I think we all basically agree that we want as few abortions as possible. Now, there's one faction that says that number is 0 and anything else is unacceptable. But I think if we sat and really tried, we could come to the conclusion that we all want as little abortions as possible. The phrase
Can Maven have, like,
use all the time is abortion.
We had this fight with Maven. I'm trying to imagine how would Maven react to John the same way she did to us, because he's saying what we said.
Yep, that's exactly what I'm saying. There's not much else to it. He granted that people on the other side of it aren't horrible, evil, terrible demons who just want to control women's bodies. And Maven, the way she described that on Mormon Discussions, leaves no room for John to be able to say that and not be the monster that.
And that's thing, like, I mean, I think we showed it last week, but some post that Maven did somewhere where she literally says she's motivated by hate. Like she's mad at her dad, and she projects all of her anger at her dad onto all men everywhere, and she hates that, and that's what keeps her going. That's basically what she says.
Anyway, we wrap it up. On this 4th of July, we're just wrapping up and saying to the whole ex-Mormon world, the reason we're even here commenting on the ex-Mormon world is that noticing things and having different views of stuff has always been valid, and it's part of our American way of being. And we've always just been patriots. No, I'm just saying, yeah, we've just been here doing this, just trying along to say, hey, there's other points of view, and you don't have to have this exact like little whatever view of the world to declare yourself a proper ex-Mormon. And Maven doesn't control it. She's obviously controlling less of it now. John Larson doesn't control it, and John DeLynn doesn't control it, although they have had a monopoly on it. But screw y'all.
Screw y'all. America. Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
America, fuck you, fuck yeah.
We're here to say the motherfucking nail.
I just love the whole list of things when he's like, Slurpees, slavery, sushi. I like that sushi's on the list.
Yeah. Sushi. I saw somebody say, name some of the best things about America, and says, nobody does Mexican food better than America. Nobody does Italian food better than America. Nobody does Chinese food better than America. Like, we got those 3 things. Who else got those 3 things?
Yeah, they got a point. Yeah. All righty.
All right. Thanks for hanging out, y'all. Go watch some fireworks.
Kaboom.
Later.